In fall 2024, I transferred from St. Charles Community College to Lindenwood University. Due to a kerfuffle with my credits, I had to take a Spanish class. I didn't know it at the time, but this so-called kerfuffle would have a great impact on the rest of my college experience.
At the time, I was trying to decide on a minor. I am an English major, but most of the minors that are associated with English seemed boring to me. I was in my Spanish class when it hit me. Why couldn't I pursue Spanish? I talked to my professor, Dr. Maite Núñez Betelu, about doing a Spanish minor. She seemed excited and told me that she would help me. Every semester from then on at Lindenwood, I took a Spanish class, learning the language and also learning about new cultures. The Spanish minor allowed me to create a lot of new connections. For example, there's a person at my job who is Mexican, and me pursuing the Spanish minor allowed me to talk to him about his culture. You could maybe call it a cultural exchange. He told me about his life growing up, the type of food that he and his family ate, and I told him the same things but for myself. I also developed connections with a lot of Spanish speakers at Lindenwood University, including in the language lab, which is connected to the writing center where I work. I have gained a lot of new perspectives, learning about new cultures, and developing empathy for people all around the globe. Because of this, I greatly recommend to everyone to learn a new language. At first, Spanish was very difficult to learn. It was hard to remember the words, the grammar, the sentence structure, everything. It seemed impossible. And oftentimes when I spoke with people that were fluent, I had a lot of difficulty understanding them, and it took me very long to think of responses. Despite all that, I kept at it. I kept learning, I kept reading, I kept trying, and eventually, I found it a little bit more natural to have conversations in Spanish. Learning Spanish doesn't just introduce you to new cultures, it also creates new neural pathways in your brain. Although there are studies about it, I'd rather just talk about my own personal experiences with this. In my own life, I found myself thinking about the world a little bit differently. As I walked around at work, I would begin to think about what things were called in Spanish and how I would say certain things in Spanish as well. I began to have some dreams in Spanish and think about writing in Spanish as well. Being able to access Spanish literature is also a huge boon to me. Another great boon of learning Spanish was access to new writers and authors, such as Jorge Luis Borges or Octavio Paz. As I continued to develop my Spanish skills and learn more about the language, I began to see the world as bigger, more experiences, more different cultures, unique places outside of my world that I grew up in. I learned about so many new foods, new traditions, new places, new things to experience. I am very grateful to my Spanish professors for allowing me to learn the new language and introducing me to so many new artists and writers. It is unfortunate that I've been learning Spanish for school because I find school very limiting at times. After I graduate, I plan to spend a lot more time learning Spanish, speaking it in my own time, and even writing in Spanish. I do not see my Spanish minor as a stopping point. I see it as a springboard into a lifelong journey of learning the language. Thank you again to my professors. You have not only given me a new language, but also an entirely new perspective on the world. I hope everyone is inspired by this video to learn a new language for themselves. Thank you.